So peep this. I was looking at his third-year stats, and well, all it did was prompt me to think about how our city would react if Carson Wentz ever had a season like this. Because I guarantee we would rip our hair out until he was off the team. Ben Roethlisberger in his third season, 18 touchdowns, 23 interceptions. Imagine if Carson Wentz ever had 20-plus interceptions. Which, he's on pace right now, but, hopefully he doesn't get there. He'll clean it up eventually, I would think. But the city would be on fire.
So many people have thrown 20-plus interceptions, though. I mean, Tony Romo has, Brett Favre has. People want to always nitpick. And, I mean, Carson Wentz hasn't. Look, he's played one playoff game and then he left early because he got spearheaded to no fault of his own. But it's a town that won a Super Bowl with their backup quarterback that was the kiss of death. If you aren't winning them a Super Bowl every year, you're not doing the job right. And Nick Foles did that job right. Somehow, some way, he did the job right. You should be doing it too. And that's just where we're at with Carson Wentz. He's never going to do enough until he brings 2 rings to this team.
Unless he gets a ring.
If not even just one, I think
he has to get more than Nick.
It's not even that. I feel like that's the next thing. If the Eagles win the Super Bowl, Carson Wentz, I think fans would be like, if Nick Foles started that whole entire 2018 season, it might be a little different. That might be the next thing. So he might have to win too. But regardless, the guy has great quarterback talent. He's struggling, yes. Teams figured out the Eagles' offense to start the season off right away by double teaming, taking back their game plan. He's still trying to figure out how to make it work when stuff's not working under structure. He's an erratic quarterback when stuff doesn't go under structure. That's just what it is. And the coaching hasn't helped him out that much. The personnel hasn't helped him out that much. That's just the facts of how this season started. To no way, shape, or form do you bench Carson Wentz. To no way, shape, or form do you move on for Carson Wentz. Jalen Hurts was picked to back up Carson Wentz. He was not picked to replace Carson Wentz. That was not in the Eagles' thought process whatsoever. The only way he ever replaces Carson Wentz is if he comes in and he plays Russell Wilson-type football. That's the only way Jalen Hurts takes Carson Wentz's job. It's not going to happen. Everybody needs to put it to bed. Carson Wentz is the Eagles.
And I think people, they jumped the gun on the Jalen Hurts thing. And part of that's Howie's fault for even, using the second-round pick for that. So
Howie Roseman looked at this team, and he thought his team was structured well enough. Because I'm telling you right now, man, I know I have a childhood friend on that scouting department. Talked to numerous people on that team. That Mike K. Everybody's on the podcast. You see my face.
Yeah.
Everybody knows why they picked Jalen Hurts. They picked Jalen Hurts, and Howie Roseman thought of himself that that team was structured well enough to spend a second-round premium pick on a backup quarterback position because they care about they invest in the quarterback position more than any team in the NFL. More than any team in the NFL. They know for a fact that when they give Carson Wentz $126 million, when you give Michael Vick $100 million, you can't give them the best backups. Nick Foles was Michael Vick's backup. He was on a rookie contract. He was drafted in the 3rd round. That's what they thought that they could do because they couldn't afford to give a cheaper backup to Michael Vick. Same thing here. They knew for a fact that they couldn't give a huge contract out to a backup quarterback. Because you know what the going rate for backup quarterbacks, Case Keenum signed a pretty big deal with Cleveland.
Yeah.
Chase Daniel signed a pretty good deal with Detroit. With the way that the cap's looking next year, where how it's going down because of COVID, those backup contracts will be the first that get cut because they're not providing enough to the team to warrant the money. This is going to be. Now the Eagles are in a situation where they don't have to keep the revolving door of backup quarterback each year. They have one on a very favorable salary for the next 3 seasons after this year. That's all they thought. They didn't want to draft the Clayton Dorsett again. They didn't want to wait till day 3 of the draft and think, hey, let's try Clayton Dorsett. Let's try that route again. Let's hope it works this time. Nate Sudfeld, we really got him off waivers. Hasn't been working out. Let's just go ahead and get the proven talent that we have whole faith in. And if he needs to come in and run the RPO offense like Nick Foles did, he needs to be mobile. He needs to be accurate, somewhat accurate. And that's what they thought with Jalen Hurts, and that's it. That's all it is to it. Nobody in that building thinks Jalen Hurts could take Carson Wentz's job. It's just media hype. They spend a second round. Not only that, second round pick quarterbacks aren't always successful. The going rate for a second round quarterback, I mean, Kevin Cobb was picked before Jalen Hurts was. I hate to compare, but I mean, it's really It's an anomaly when those players are good. It's an anomaly when you have a Russell Wilson be successful for being a third-round pick quarterback. It's an anomaly. Like this team did not take Jalen Hurts with the expectation of him taking Carson Wentz's job. It's just media hype. They used a premium pick on a position that they didn't need, and high risk of the floodgates for media to pawn on it. So now we're going to have to deal with this. This is crazy that we're already dealing with this. 4 games into Jalen Hurts' rookie season, man. But now we have 3 more years, bud. 3 more years of this. Every time Carson Wentz has a bad game, we're going to be hearing Jalen Hurts. It's just how it goes. That's what they opened the door with. Because do I agree with that approach? Do I agree with the fact that they didn't try to keep going with the day 3 pick? I don't. I think James Morgan in the 4th round would have been just fine. I think you could have used that pick on a Jeremy Chin at a position that you have no clear answer at. Christian Fulton could have been your outside corner. AJ Espinosa could have helped D-line. Denzel Mims, I know he's injured now, but I mean, and I know what he said about Philly, but again, that at least gives you more hope at wide receiver than you have now. Anything, linebacker, Logan Wilson could have came in. Not only that, we can even get into it. Davion Taylor shouldn't have been picked over Akeem Davis-Schuster, but that's a different story. But you have those 2 picks. That's why I just think where it goes into Howie Roseman's problem is he overvalues the draft. Like, he overvalues positions and picks. He thinks his team was good enough where he could take a premium pick and use it on a position that he hopes never has to play. That he never has to play. So, I mean, that's where you have to fault the GM at that point, the guy who makes the draft picks at that point. But Jalen Hurts is not here to take Carson Wentz's job. Nobody in that building thinks so. It's just silly.
I agree, man. And like you said, it's crazy that we're at this point. You know, we're 1-2-1. As weird as that record is.
And we're all wondering if Carson Wentz is benchable. Like, I never thought we would get that to the point.
Exactly. And that was like the main – and I hate to say this like out loud, but like I was kind of over, you know, having Nick Foles as his backup just for that same reason, just hearing it constantly. I mean, just having to argue that Carson Wentz deserves a start when you shouldn't have to argue that. Like,
and he was playing good then. Now it's kind of like warranted. To be honest, he hasn't been playing good. I'll keep it real.
Exactly.
I love Carson Wentz. I'm not giving up on him, but he's played the crap. Like, he hasn't played Carson Wentz level football yet this season at all.
That kind of leads me to the next segment, man. Do you think – well, you've kind of already told us where you're at on Carson Wentz. Do you think he's close to getting out of his slump, or do you think it's just something that he's going to be battling all season?
He needs somebody else to step up around him.
Yeah.
It's a team sport. Especially on offense, the ball has to go to somebody else. He needs somebody else to step up around him. When he was starting to hit his rhythm at the end of the season, it's because Greg Ward stepped up and Zach Ertz was still producing. There's no 2 people on this team you could point your finger at and saying this guy can help Carson Wentz get out of the slump. There is, and that's on offense. For some reason, they're not running Myles Sanders the way they should. He must be hurt, and they're just being mean about it.
Which we can talk about that right now. We can get into that now. That was kind of the segue right there.
Question, I can't sit here and be honest and say Carson Wentz can get out of a slump when I don't know who else around him can help him get out of that slump. I can't. Is he going to play? Look, this defense was missing their best edge rusher, their 2 best edge rushers. It was missing their number 1 corner. Like, we have to take that into consideration. I know injuries, everybody wants to hate the injury excuse. The Eagles won fair and square. I fully get that, but they were. It's not going to be – Pittsburgh's not missing those guys. They have a great front 7 pass rushing wise. They have their top 3 safety. They have their top 10 corner. They're fine. Baltimore, their defense is fine. That's a whole different story over there. They have a lot of good corners. They have 2 top 15 corners. They have a great pass rush. Like, they have Matthew Judon. They have Calais Campbell up front. Like, these are the games that are really going to show if Carson Wentz is really back or if he's in that rhythm. And I worry that he's not enough yet. The game against San Francisco didn't answer that question enough for me. Yeah, and I mean, even against San Fran, you know, you're going against Nick Mullins. You're not going against Jimmy G. His first half in San Fran wasn't that great.
Yeah, it was not great at all.
Richard Rodgers on that could have been a score. A couple other passes weren't there either.
Yeah, there was a couple behind. Even the crossing route for Myles Sanders, he threw it a little bit behind.
That was very low, and that could have been a big play as well. You want Sanders to catch those, but again, that pass was really low. It was hard to catch. So, yeah, I mean, so he's not fully back yet, but I think his confidence is turning in the right direction. That always helps. That could make. But again, is it going to be Travis Fulton this year? It's going to be the hero. Is it going to be Greg Ward again comes through with his Superman cape, or is it going to be Alshon that surprisingly steps up because he knows he needs to play well for his next team to get that opportunity for his next team? I don't know. I don't think it is. Or is it Jalen Rager when he finally gets back, he's fully healthy and he's ready to rock, and he takes all this hate that he's getting, or he's seen all the social media of the Eagles did the wrong pick, he puts it on his back and he just goes off. It's going to have to be that. I think the answer is Rager, but I don't know. It's hard.
When is a hard answer, yeah.
And it's hard to ask a rookie that didn't have a real offseason, didn't have a training camp, didn't have a real chance to build chemistry with the starting quarterback to be that guy, to be that answer for that team when he comes back from an injury. And he's already missed several games. So I don't know, man. To firmly say here that I can see Carson Wentz get out of the slump, but I can't point to anybody else. And I can't even point to Myles Sanders because I don't know what's going on there.
Right.
Clearly hurt. He's clearly not full 100% yet.
I do think, the way Doug's been using Carson, I think it has made him a little more comfortable. Obviously, when he gets out of the pocket, when he's using his legs, I think he gets a little loose.
I even think it's more Carson, too. I think it's Carson, though, because I think he's just saying to himself, you know what, I'm just going to make it happen. These guys aren't going to.
Yeah,
it looks like he looks on these runs, he looks like they're rage runs. He looks like he's just like, screw it, I'm taking off. Or like, he's
I got to get a first down.
I got to get the win. Everybody else around me is not helping me out get it. So, if yes, I think he continues to play that way, but I don't think he can win you many games in this league playing that way when the receivers are barely contributing. It just doesn't work. You see it time and time again. They go 9-7 when the receivers barely contribute. This year they're already 1-2-1. How many more games can they lose?
Not a lot of winnable games. If you're being realistic.
They have a tough schedule. Yeah, so I hate to be down on them. Again, this is a very winnable division, but. Like I said, they need contributing receivers. They need that spark. It needs to be high power. It needs to be Walker. It needs to be Ward. It needs to be Rager. Or it needs to be the surprising contributions of Alshon or Djax. It needs to be something.
Yeah. And, coming into this season, I was one, I was believing the hype. And I still do. I think Myles Sanders can be a top 10 running back. I think he has the talent. I think he's a good all-around back. But you come in, you look at his usage. I know he's coming off the injury. They're blaming it on fatigue. But, he's averaging, 17 carries a game. He's played 3 games, 51 total carries. That's not the bell cow that they were preaching, the whole offseason. So, obviously, there's something off there. And it has me worried. I was worried when I saw it was his hamstring. You know what I mean? So, that's a lingering injury. So, we're just wondering – yeah, where are you at on that? I'm just – it's a mystery right now, I swear.
Bro, he went 20 snaps Sunday without – he went 20 straight – the offense went 20 straight snaps without Myles Sanders on the field. They clearly think that he's not 100%. Now, is it fair to think that? Yeah. The guy didn't have a full training camp at all. They said it was because of injuries. Hamstrings are tricky things to deal with, especially when you're a young running back. I think they're just looking at it as – it's early in the season. We need him to be at his full 100% self towards the end of the season when we try to win this division, when we try to ground and pound and win these games, tire these defenses down and throw this play action all over them. They might look at these games right now and think it's not worth it. It's not worth trying to see pound Sanders into the ground, get him hurt where we don't have him for those games in the season. But my point is, if you think that way, then why don't you have the backup running back to help you out with that?
Exactly.
Sorry about that. My dogs are getting all excited right now.
Right.
My girlfriend just came in, so we get into this one a little bit, and I'll answer after how you think about my thoughts about that.
Yeah, I got you. But yeah, man. Myles Sanders. I can't.
17 carries a game. He needs to be 25 at least. 25 to 28.
They
clearly don't trust Boston Scott and Corey Clement enough, though, to really take over the run game because they shy away from them because they're quite frankly not working. Boston Scott needs to be used as more as a receiver. He needs more of the outside zone.
Exactly.
Quick screens. Corey Clement, I don't think is a good runner at all at this point. I think you should just give up on that experiment and let him go.
Yeah.
That's my point. I think they should let go of Corey Clement and then try with maybe Elijah Holyfield will give you something off the practice squad.
Exactly.
Because that doesn't cost you a draft pick, at least. That's the best part is. But if that's the case, find somebody else because you clearly aren't trusting Myles Sanders to use him that much right now to the point that you could use him at. and you shy away from the run after that because Boston Scott and Corey Clement aren't getting done on the ground for you. I used to think that those guys could be enough. I thought that they could.
Too,
I thought that those guys could be enough. Thought that maybe Elijah Holyfield made the team. Maybe that they would use him as well. I wanted to see what they had in their current guys, but clearly I was wrong, and I think the Eagles are wrong too because they need somebody else to help Miles Sanders out if they don't want to use him to the full capacity that they should be using him at.
Yeah, because I guess my thinking coming into the season was, Boston Scott, like you said, he's like a third down back, a receiving back. He can if you give him the ball out on those outside zone runs.
He's a good short yardage back. It's just they're using him as a running back 2 type role to
exactly,
and it's just not there.
And that was where I was at coming into the season. I kind of thought we should have brought in somebody, like a Carlos Hyde, any bigger type of back. Maybe even kept Jordan Howard. I know he went for the money down there in Miami.
And the same thing with Hyde. They put a price on these guys.
Exactly.
They considered J.K. Dobbins in the second round. So that was it was Jeremy Chin, J.K. Dobbins, Jalen Hurts. And they went with like the worst option they could have out of this week. But,
literally.
But that was what the options were. Like, so it wasn't like they weren't in the running back market. They didn't want to pay. And they had a price on Devontae Freeman too. They didn't want to meet his price. And he found an opportunity in New York where he can remake his market now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is where they're at. They don't really have that many options. I would just see what Holyfield can give you. And if you're still competing at
somebody
this point,
young,
if they're in a playoff position around the trade deadline and, that role hasn't really carved out yet, then maybe you look around the league. Maybe then you start peeking around. Maybe you see if Denver doesn't want Royce Freeman anymore as an option. That's what I can think off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But, just go that route at that point.
Yeah. No, I feel you. And I think I don't know what their love situation is with Clement. I have a special place in my heart for him. He balled out in the Super Bowl, but he's looked slow. I mean, he doesn't hit the hole hard. He looks lost on a lot of plays. His rhythm's off.
And they haven't really even thrown to him. I don't think he even has a target this year yet. So.
And that's his strong suit.
That's why
that's what he's used for.
Right. So I would just end that experiment now. Thanks for the Super Bowl, bud. You had great memories with us, but so did Corey Graham. You're out of here. I would just cut that experiment and save up the roster spot and bring in somebody that can contribute in that running back role. I'm with you. I just had the Corey Clement experience. It's a shame. I loved him for the Super Bowl, but he's not giving you anything at this point to keep him.
Yeah, it's nothing. I mean, and I don't know if they were high on him. Maybe that's why.
He had a great camp. He had a great camp.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's hard. It's so easy to have a good camp when you're going against your own team.
Yeah, exactly.
It's what really hurt the Eagles this year so far in this season is that they didn't have a preseason to evaluate the talent they had because their cornerback room got ravaged, their running back room is at 100% apparently, their wide receiver room got ravaged. They had so many injuries at key positions that they didn't get a chance to really evaluate the guys and they let go of some guys like Rasul Douglas, who's looking good in Carolina now. They let go of Sidney Jones, let go of couple of receivers too as well. It's just they didn't get a real chance to evaluate talent, and it's showing that they didn't get a real chance to because the guys that they did keep were wondering why. Like J.J. Whiteside and Corey Clement. Like, why are they on this team? They're wasting roster spots.
Wasting roster spots in a season where roster spots are extremely important, man. Like, I'm even thinking about Jalen Hurts. I know we would have a backup quarterback, but if Nate Sudfeld's not the guy, then why waste a roster spot? I mean, I don't know. I guess you do need 3 quarterbacks in on the team, but that's just all so confusing.
They clearly think that Jalen Hurts can offer them some kind of like crazy wildcat package or some kind of offense RPO type thing that could impact them during the season.
I do like some of that stuff that they're doing. I just don't like it in the fourth quarter. And, when the game's on the line, every play is crucial. I'd rather the ball be in my franchise quarterback's hands. I do like when they mix it up, though. I really do. I think he does bring in.
I do like it. I mean, your defensive coordinator has to stay up at night game planning for that. So,
and once he stops, fumbling the football, then might actually have some success, with it. So, I don't mind those plays. I just, it's where he was drafted that really bothers everybody, I think.
Absolutely.
We'll kind of, get wrapped up here. We'll dig into, basically what I think is the meat of the matchup with Pittsburgh. Obviously, our offensive line did pretty well against, a ravaged San Fran defensive line. They still had some guys out there, obviously, but they didn't have their two main guys. So, I mean, our offensive line performed well. Mayata, he played, pretty good. Herbiggs looks pretty good so far this season. But you had Lane Johnson in and out of the game. He's doing his best Jason Peters impression against San Fran. And so I'm wondering how you're feeling going against this mean Pittsburgh all-around defense. It's not just their front seven like you mentioned. It's their entire defense. These receivers are going to have a hard time getting open. Zach Ertz was once again going to be blanketed, with Devin Bush, and then you got Fitzpatrick back there too. So where are you at, Eagles going up against this defense? That's the Steelers' strong suit. Like you said, they may have the best defense in the league.
I think they do. I think it's fair to say. Because, Stephon Tuitt and Casey Hayward are front monster players. It's going to be a lot to deal with. A lot of space eating up front.
TJ Watt.
They're gonna eat up the offense. The thing about the Steelers, they're the heaviest blitzing team in the league. And I think that's what's been the Eagles' offensive line's woes this season is that they can't handle the blitz that well, and Carson Wentz isn't handling the blitz that well. And now you're facing a team that's the best blitzing team in the league, the one that does it the most.
Man.
It's going to be tough. They have Bud Dupree, they have that Alex Highsmith, I think his name, something like that. They just got in the draft from Charlotte. He's really good. He's really good rotational rusher for them. Bud Dupree, TJ Watt, like we said, the defensive line, they got some guys up there. It's going to be a long day. Devin Bush is a great linebacker. The secondary, Mike Hilton, Micah Fitzpatrick, Joe Hayden. Look, man, I know Jordan Mailata had a great game last week, but his technique issues showed a lot.
Yeah.
These guys are going to eat him up. His offensive line's going to have a rough day. I'm not expecting it to have a good game. I'm just not. And like you said, Doug Peterson said it during the week, and Ed always makes a point of reminding me when I talk about it on the show. Lane Johnson, they're expecting this injury to linger the whole entire season. So this might be, you're right, it might be a Jason Peters situation when you see a lot of Jack Driscoll a lot. So if that happens again against Pittsburgh, yikes. Yikes. He's a really great player. You got to get out of a lot. But Dupree isn't a slouch. They have a lot of talent on defense. It's going to be a tough match. This is where we're really going to find out what this offensive line is made of, though. But the thing is, Matt Pryor is playing awful. I'm finally starting to see what they saw in Matt Pryor, why they were so hesitant to Matt Pryor. Because Matt Pryor's not good. He looks pretty bad so far. If Lane Johnson does go out, Jack Driscoll's going to come in not with no rhythm whatsoever against a really tough front seven to do that against.
And, we know how Carson plays when Lane's not out there. That's just, kind of his comfortable
the Eagles offense in general.
There.
They're way under 500 when Lane Johnson doesn't play. So
it's not a good look. How do you feel about that? I know we talked about it a lot, but watching the Eagles offense is just almost painful. And the entire San Francisco game, I'm just sitting there like, please don't make the big mistake. You know what I mean? Please don't cost us the game. Just survive. That's how I was watching our offense. And it's sad. I'm just so disappointed, that I have to go through another season of this just stagnant vanilla offense. And it's obviously it's mixed with the injuries. It's not all the, a lot of these guys shouldn't even be on an NFL roster. It's just painful to watch. It's almost scary. Every play I'm just like, oh, I hope Carson doesn't get blasted. I hope, Carson doesn't turn the ball over. And it's like every play you're looking around. Is anybody, limping off the field? We've just seen it all season so far. And, even against the Bengals, the Bengals are that's not a good defense, especially if you just run the ball. It's not a good team. And we were struggling. You know what I mean? We were limping out there.
That tie is like a loss in my eyes anyways, but they've lost to the teams that are picking 1 and 2 last year in the draft.
Yeah.
If we might, this 49ers win has gotten a lot of people hype. I would temper your expectations as much as you possibly can because if CJ Beathard started that whole entire game, I don't know if that's how the game ends.
You saw what he did.
Good. He had a rhythm. He gave him that spark. He did give him that spark. And then not only that, Jim Schwartz coach scared against him. So,
and another point, that you just pointed out, I was at the edge of my seat until the end of that game. We were up by 2 scores in the fourth quarter.
Right, and the offense only played, and we have to realize, we still have to soak this in, because I don't think Alshon's not playing this week. I'm pretty much confident in that. I don't think Deshaun plays this week either, to be honest with you.
I don't think so.
But even if he does, it's not going to matter.
And, they've been safe with Deshaun all year. Why would they risk him now?
Saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and if they do, they're going to be safe with him, so it's not going to matter.
Exactly.
But they scored 18 against San Francisco's defense that's missing a ton of starters.
Stars. You know what I mean?
They're starters, not like their best starters.
Right.
It's still a questionable offense. If they can only put up against 18 against San Francisco B defense, what are they going to do against what I just said? Is I think is the best defense in the NFL.
Best defense in the NFL.
It's either them or Baltimore, to be honest with you. That's in my opinion. And that's what they faced both back to back. So I mean, dude. That's why I just can't be all in on this team. I'm excited that people are hyped. I have a kid that works for my podcast that we talked about earlier, Giovanni, that will root for this team until he dies. That will always think that they're going to win. I have to try to be positive somehow. This is the most negative I've been in a while. Honestly,
it would be irresponsible to just expect us to come out and beat the Steelers and the Ravens. I mean, that's irresponsible.
Can they, though? Yes, they can because of the Eagles.
They can,
but will they? I don't think so, man. I don't know. The best thing about the Ravens is the matchup fits perfectly. I mean, against the offense, I don't want to say it fits perfectly because their front seven will probably destroy our offensive line too. But the Ravens don't have any wide receiver. Hollywood Brown is great, but he's still adjusting with Lamar. They're not on the same page if you've been watching them. Other than that, Mark Andrews is having a lousy season. Mark Andrews has dropped a lot of passes. He hasn't looked the same as he did last year. Their offense is struggling right now, too. So that's probably the best thing that the Eagles have going for them is when they play Baltimore, that our defense probably continues to have their offense struggling again. Yeah. And it becomes a low-scoring game, and then whoever turns the ball over really is what determines that game. I like that matchup. And people
more
are
than the
crazy.
Steelers,
I do. I like that matchup more than the Steelers because the Steelers could beat you in multiple ways. As much as their run game is so inconsistent, it can still produce. It can still get when they get to produce, it does. James Conner, Benny Snell, those guys come through when they need them to, at least. The best thing about it is for the Eagles, their Eagles team is their defensive line is playing the best football right now on the team, and the Steelers' offensive line is completely banged up. David Castro is still not 100%. Their right tackle, Zach Banner, is out for the season now, and the guy that lost to him in the training camp battle is starting, Okafor. I don't want to even pronounce his first name. It's really hard to butcher, but he's questionable at right tackle, so the Eagles can attack that as much as they want to. Marquise Pouncey is still a great player. Max Feller is barely a good player. Sam Myles is better. Let's just say that. But he's a decent starter, but Sam Myles is better. And Andre Villanova is a good offensive tackle, but I mean he's not the best. He's probably top 20 at least. And he's a former Eagle. He started off with the Eagles as defensive end with Chip Kelly, and then he goes to the Steelers and becomes like their franchise left tackle. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. But he's very beatable too. So the Castro and Pouncey are great, but the Castro's not at full strength. So the Eagles could take advantage of their offensive line. They could force Ben Roethlisberger into turnovers, and that's the only way that the Eagles can continue to win. Is that they force these two offenses they play in these next couple of games into turnovers that they don't usually make. That's the only way I can see them winning. Really,
I mean, I'm looking at the matchup, especially for our offense, and what makes people think. I know everybody's getting close to getting back on that Wentz train. But, he still threw an interception against San Fran. I mean, he did turn the ball over.
I'll take that interception, though. I feel like that was a better play. Interception. But, you're right. He's not – look, he's never not once this season has Carson Wentz looked like Carson Wentz.
Right.
Flat out.
And my thing is, why would that turn around all of a sudden against the best defense in the league or the second best defense in the league? That doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
It doesn't.
Maybe we get lucky.
You just hope his talent comes through. You just hope his talent shines through once. But context. Look around him. Can you expect that of him? If you do, I think Peyton Manning and Tom Brady aren't making this stuff happen either. It's a huge reason why Tom Brady left New England was because of this. Exactly what's going on right now with Carson Wentz. Like, for the people that out there that think that just because the quarterback is the most polarizing position in sports means that they should always be good no matter what, you're wrong. I don't know if you even played football before then, because it's a team sport. It takes all 11 starters on offense and defense to contribute, to help win the game. One quarterback doesn't change it. That doesn't make or break the team is how a quarterback plays. Now, Carson Wentz can be playing lights out. Dude, here's a great example. When he throws for over 300 yards, they're under 500. When he's throwing for over 300 yards, he's typically having a good game most of the time. I mean, they're under 500. The numbers doesn't matter. To me, it's the wins. And how do you expect this guy to lead your offense when Travis Fulgham is his
number one guy?
Yeah, Greg Ward is his number one guy.
Yeah.
These guys are decent depth players. These guys are your wide receiver fours, the guys that step up if your starting wide receiver gets injured or needs a breather.
You shouldn't have three of those guys on the field at the same time. That's not the way it should be.
No. Travis Fulgham, great touchdown. You're our hero for this week. You were cut by the Lions the year after they drafted you, and then you got picked up in their division, and that team only kept you for 10 days. The Eagles are at the bottom of the barrel at wide receiver talent.
Yeah.
As much as we like these guys as unsung heroes, as underdogs, it's the truth. Once again, they're at that position again. You cannot ask a quarterback in a passing league to get it done with guys that are getting cut by the teams that drafted them a year after they drafted them and then bouncing around their division. You just can't. It's not how it works.
Yeah.
Greg Ward's been cut by the team 8 times. So, you can't ask a quarterback to do that. It's not how it works. I mean, look at Kyler Murray and Josh Allen having spectacular seasons. Josh Allen's had an MVP season. Why? Von Diggs is there.
Wide receiver one.
They were a good passing offense last year in Buffalo. John Brown had over 1,000 yards. Cole Beasley had over 800. Good passing offense. They added a true number one wide receiver. Now Josh Allen looks like an MVP candidate.
Yep.
In this passing era of football, true number one wide receivers matter, and the Eagles just don't have it.
Yeah. And we haven't for a while, honestly.
No.
I mean,
even when they won the Super Bowl, they didn't, because Zach Ertz was their true number one. But luckily, they had Nelson Aguilar, Alshon Jeffrey, and Torrey Smith stepping up to contribute for that team. That was the first time in an offense history that 3 receivers had over 8+ touchdowns, and it was Aguilar, Ertz, and Alshon. So I mean, when you had that type of production, it's different. When you have guys that can produce that way, but they don't. Alshon hasn't been the same since he got that extension. They haven't been able to replace Torrey Smith's speed. Torrey Smith was really the only consistent speed they had since that Super Bowl season. Mike Wallace came in, got hurt right away. Deshaun has been a no-show since Week 1 versus Washington.
Yep.
You can't produce if you have this type of production. Nobody can.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. So I guess, before I get you out of here, man, we are getting to the end of the show. It's been awesome content, man.
It has, man. It's been a great show.
Good stuff here. I do just want to get, a final score prediction from you. Keep it real with us. I know you're a realist, so you don't have to hold back how you're feeling.
I'm not gonna lie though. I picked them the first 3 weeks, and I obviously went 0-2-1 in those picks.
Right.
And I picked 49ers. I picked 49ers on Sunday, and the Eagles won. So I'm gonna pick Steelers again. I'm gonna pick the Steelers, and then hopefully my reverse psychology works and the Eagles win. But I do think the Steelers win. I think they're gonna win, and unfortunately convincingly, because we have to remember they have a high-power offense. If Deontay Johnson and Juju play, that's great. They also have Chase Claypool that looks pretty good with Ben Roethlisberger right now. They have James Conner. They have Benny Snell. They have Eric Ebron against these tight ends.
Yeah, Eric Ebron, man. Oh, my God.
Eric Ebron against these linebackers. So it's not like their offense can't put up a lot of points either, and their defense can stop us from scoring points. I think I got the Steelers 28-17.
That seems about fair. I mean, at this point, can you expect the offense to score over 20 points? I mean, you can't.
If they can't score if they only can score 18 against 49ers defense, like we said, with all the injuries they had, what makes you think they're going to do it against the top 2 defense?
Yeah, man. I mean,
any given Sunday, but I mean, they're not going to have the bodies out there this week either. So how can I really just sit there and say that?
Yeah, no, fair analysis, man. I mean, even I picked the Eagles every game, and against San Fran, it was kind of like my last hope. I was like, I'm going to pick them, and obviously this was just me riding my fandom into the oblivion. But I went with them. You know, they did end up winning by a similar score. I think I picked 23-18. They won, what, 25-20?
25-20, yeah.
So I did pick that one about right. But, you know, I hate to go against my Birds, man, but I feel like I have to. I'm with you. I think the better matchup is the Ravens. The Birds, at least with the Ravens, you know, Lamar Jackson is MVP caliber guy. He's not the most accurate passer. If you can get him a little flustered, you know, have a great game plan, that's what it's going to come down to for that game. You know, hopefully Jim Schwartz is not playing, you know.
Him on the run because they don't have the linebackers that good. So
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Steelers. I'm going to go, you know, 20-13 sounds about right to me, low scoring. I think our offense, man, it's like I was telling to you earlier, it's painful to watch. And you know, the thing I was looking forward to this season was that we wouldn't have to, you know, go on these grueling, you know, 13 to 15 play drives to get a touchdown or get 3 points like we did last year. It's the same thing this year. We lost our big playmakers. So the only way we're going to win is, you know, nickel and diamond down the field and, you know, Carson putting his body on the line, you know, going head first for first downs. That's not a way to beat, you know, great teams. And maybe Steelers aren't a great team, but they have a great defense and they have a good offense. So for me to, you know, if we're to win that game, it's like you said, our defensive line is going to have one of those games, you know, like they just had. And, you know, to expect this out of them, it kind of unrealistic, but they have the talent there. They could do it. Like you said, you know, with the beat-up Steelers line, you would hope that we can control the run. That's usually our strong suit. Hasn't been this season.
I mean, Stephon Whiskey's out. He's on IR right now, but you hope he's not giving away Eagles secrets.
Right.
This is how Fletcher Cox plans on attacking. You know, Devon Hargrave's revenge games this week.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not Brandon Graham attacks on the inside.
Man, and I just look at what's killed us all season so far. I mean, you saw Kittle almost beat us by himself. You know, Higbee had 3 scores against us. You know, Eric Ebron is that caliber of a receiving tight end threat. You know what I mean? He's a stellar. He's athletic. He can catch the ball really well. He's a good tight end, especially in the passing game. He's another guy that can just kill us, man. Yeah, and, you know, and that's not even speaking on the guys on the outside. You know, like you mentioned, Claypool, he's another guy. If they have him working the slot, whoever they have working the slot is liable to murder us. I mean, you look at even what Tyler Boyd did against the Bengals. I mean, this guy put up over 100 receiving yards on us. And, you know, if they get off, if that Steelers offense starts getting off on us, then it's over. I mean, because we're not going to be able to put up a lot of points realistically. Hopefully Carson can take care of the ball. But at this point, you know what I mean? Why would we expect him to not throw at least one interception? I mean, hopefully not. Obviously, I don't wish that on him. But he doesn't have the weapons around him, and it hasn't looked clean the entire season.
Right, their front seven can force it on him too, though. They can definitely force the turnovers on Carson Wentz. And we don't have a running back that, you know, we can feed that can be a bell cow. So, you know, if Myles Sanders isn't 100%, we have nothing back there behind Carson. We have nothing out here around Carson. We have a beat-up offensive line in front of Carson. What's Carson supposed to do? I mean, it's not even on Carson at that point. I mean, I'm with you, man. I'm trying not to get ahead of myself. I also understand, you know, this is a resilient team. They got guys that have been through this before, kind of. You know what I mean? And I just want to point out one more thing before we hop off of here. You know, you mentioned Darius Slay earlier, man. And, man, I hope that's not what that turns into. He's the first quarterback we've had in a long time. I would hate that.
But I see your point. I see your point, though. Like,
his contract's really a 2-year deal. Like, it's just the truth. It's really a 2-year deal. He's on the wrong side of – he's 29. Obviously I don't want them to, but if they're in a position where they're not competitive and a team says, we'll give you a second and a fourth because Darius Slay probably makes us a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
You have to at least think about it if you don't think you can compete. But I don't know if there's ever going to be a point in that season where the Eagles don't feel that way just because of how bad the NFC
bad the division is. Yeah,
because the Cowboys have a historically bad defense, and it's not going to get any better. It's only going to continue to get worse. anybody could score on that defense. I mean, the Browns shot 49 on them.
How do you feel about that matchup?
It's the Eagles and the Cowboys?
Yeah.
Oh, man, you have like the league's worst offense versus the league's worst defense. I wonder how that works out. Like, you better hope.
It would be a shit show.
Back by then, because, look, the Eagles could take apart that secondary every team has. Carson Wentz could easily pick up the secondary. But the thing is, they probably have the best offense. They probably have the best passing offense in the league. Could the Eagles go toe-to-toe with them offensively? I don't think so. If their defense can't stop, because Darius Slay could take away Amari Cooper. I can't think anybody in the secondary can take away CeeDee Lamb. He has the most receiving yards out of the slot this year. Michael Gallup. I mean, I know Sidney Jones had that pass breakup on him, but it's not like the Eagles have a bunch of options to stop him either. And then Zeke does pretty good against the Eagles lately. So that's what the only thing is. If it comes to a shooting match, the Cowboys win. But if it comes to like the defense rattling Dak Prescott again and turning their ball over, then the Eagles win because they're going to score on their defense all the time. It doesn't matter who's out there at that point.
Right.
But again, the worst offense versus the worst passing offense versus the worst defense. That'd be something.
It'll be. I don't even know if I'm going to say it's fun to watch, but
the Cowboys' offense is good enough to lead them to the division, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
They did drop 38 on the Browns. Like they do.
Because while we're sitting here, laughing at their games that they've lost this season, against the Rams, against the Seahawks, against the Browns.
They beat the Falcons. They should have lost to the Falcons.
I mean, and even the Falcons, who they beat. I mean, they're averaging, plus 30 points a game.
Yeah, they're putting up a lot of points.
And a lot of yards, a lot of, and there's a lot of talent to go around on that offense. I mean, look what they've provided Dak with. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Mike McCarthy's a pass-happy coach, too. So,
yeah.
But their defense is never going to be good this season. They're not going to turn around. They can sign Earl Thomas tomorrow and it won't change. Still going to be a bad defense. The Giants aren't going to be anything, and Washington's not going to be anything. So, again, it's really Dallas is the only team in the Eagles' way. And I think they split the season series with them. I don't think it's a
always do. I mean, for the most part.
I don't think it's a sweep on either team's side, but it's going to come down to that last game again, and then it's going to come down if the Eagles can stop their offense. Because then if they do, they win. If they can stop their defense, if they can stop their offense to only scoring 21 points, the Eagles will win. But if they can't, they're going to lose. That's the only how it's going to work because the Eagles aren't going to put up more than against Dallas. Maybe they'll put up a little bit more, but I mean, to expect them to put more up than 21 points this season in multiple games, I wouldn't. I don't think they can do it. I don't think their offense is good enough their passing offense is good enough to really score that many points this season, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I feel you. It's hard to imagine them, even scoring upward of 25 points. I mean, that would mean 4 touchdowns. So I don't know. I just don't see it. There's, maybe like you said, if we get Rieger back, Goddard's looking like he's looking like he's going to be out for season. Sanders can get healthy, obviously, but.
Get Sanders healthy, get Rager back, and then that continue your season around because then you start pounding Sanders more, and then it opens up the play action more, then you start showcasing Rager that way. That's the only way I can see his offense play to start really find some rhythm and pick up some ground, and then open things up for Zach Ertz a little bit, which helps you even more. And then your offense really gets going a little bit more. But other than that, I mean,
it's a lot of dice.
It's a lot to ask for, because
a lot of stuff's got to go your way.
And this team you can't stay healthy anyways. They're one Darius Slay, one Fletcher Cox, one really Lane Johnson out for season injury away from this season being done for them.
And to your point, man, every time it seems like every game Slay like hobbles off the field one time.
Right, then he just goes right back in.
Then he just comes right back in and plays stellar.
Even though he's playing bad, if Carson Wentz goes down, they're not going to do anything with Jalen Hurts.
Right. It's over.
It's over then at that point.
But
Jalen Hurts isn't ready to play starting quarterback in the NFL yet. Like, it doesn't matter what. If he got drafted to Tennessee and he had to replace Ryan Tannehill, if he got drafted anywhere where he could start, he wouldn't be ready this season. Doesn't matter what anybody thinks. He's not the type of quarterback that could play his rookie year. He barely played the quarterback position, to be honest with you. He was more of a runner at Alabama. He goes to Oklahoma, Rick and Riley system. It's like his first taste of playing quarterback, and it was only for a year. Like, it's he's not ready to play quarterback. So for everybody that's ready to pull the trigger on Carson Wentz, put Jalen Hurts in, you're only asking to get it worse.
Yeah, I don't see it at all. And you're talking about a rookie with no training, no real training camp, no rookie training camp,
and
no
even
preseason.
If he did, he's not ready. So why would you think he's even more ready now?
Exactly.
Silly.
But I guess we'll wrap it up here, man. It was a pleasure having you on. Awesome talk, man. I hope to have you on again soon, man.
Absolutely.
Awesome content, dude. It was fun picking your brain for real. And I guess the one thing we got going for us is that defensive line and the weak ass division.
The weak ass. Yeah, there you go. Bingo. Because look, it matters how you play in November and December. If you start playing hot then, and you win this division and you're playing hot in December going into January, momentum is all that matters. It doesn't matter about record. You're all 0-0 when that playoff starts. So
exactly
the optimism you can have. I'm not too optimistic just because I think even if the team makes the playoffs, can they win in the playoffs? I don't think so. I mean,
exactly.
The offense has to figure itself out for me to even talk about playoffs at this point, to be honest.
Yeah, but, exactly.
But you get the point. I mean, this team has core players at least. That's what you could be hyped about. They have a core of players in place. I think they just found a new one in Josh Sweat. So that's a huge thing to take away, young one in Josh Sweat as well. They have their core quarterback in place. They have their core superstar running back in place. They're going to have their core playmaking wide receiver in place in Jalen Reagor. He'll show it. Their offensive line, the best thing about this season is they might figure out left tackle long term. That might be the best thing about the season also as well. So they have some core pieces in place. That's a good thing to be positive about. They're figuring out if their young talent has a future with this team. That's another thing to be positive about. Other than that, I'm shrugging my shoulders.
Yeah. Hey, that's a good one to wrap it up on, man. Hey, once again, thank you for being on the show, Conor. All my listeners, please go check out Eagles Brawl, man. That network is killing it. Giovanni's killing it. Conor's killing it. All those guys over there, they got great insight. My man comes with the hot takes. He knows exactly what's going on with that team. And let's be real. I mean, that's how I stay somewhat in the loop with the team, man. I be bouncing ideas off of you, and you always respond with some good content, some good takes, and I trust you as an Eagles source, man. You're that's what you are.
I appreciate it, bro. Thanks. Hey, man. It's all about the birds. We always talk
go
about
birds,
the birds,
man.
Go birds,
shout out to Giovanni. Yeah. Happy birthday, brother. Hey, go birds,
there
man.
You go. All right, man.
Go birds. Have a good one, man.